So when these new technologies that we develop here go into other countries, they're not going to be feeding poor people. Poor farmers are not going to be using those technologies. Big corporations are in their land grabs like Grasstetter and Agrosol, and they're going to bulldoze the landscape, the natural landscape, and they're going to bulldoze rural communities and traditional cultures in the process. And they're going to just add to the big global pile of corn and soybeans to feed more livestock and more great big huge CAFOs and feedlots and produce more biofuels so the people in the richest countries of the world and the richest people in those countries can drive their cars and eat meat, milk, and eggs. So this is why food sovereignty is so important. I've been wanting to make this a household word for a long time. Food sovereignty means that if we recognize that we, the people, make important decisions through our democratic governments, letting our societies become everyone for him or herself means that multinational corporations will rule the world. Food sovereignty does not just subscribe to the old nationalistic notions, but it strives to empower citizens to make important decisions about their land, how their land is used, how their food is produced and processed, while respecting other people, other cultures, and the beautiful world that we all depend on. Now, the funny thing happened to me the other day on the way to the Farm Progress show. A neighbor called me on my cell phone. He wanted to know what kind of corn I had growing along the road because it looked so good. Now, he wasn't surprised that it was non-GMO corn because he knows that I would not ever raise GMO corn. But nevertheless, he admired it, and he wanted to know what kind it was, and I'm hoping a lot of my neighbors recognize it, and they'll raise non-GMO corn. So that proves that you don't have to raise GMO corn to raise a respectable crop of corn. And the fact that these herbicide-resistant varieties like Roundup Ready, and now they've got a whole bunch of other ones, they do kill the weeds initially, but they also, what they do is they weed out farmers, because they increase the competition between farmers so much, and they make it so possible to actually farm without farmers. So now the competition on cash rent will be so intense that unless you're willing to raise corn on corn continuously, unless you're willing to ignore all of the concerns that we have about our land and our water and our air, you'll be out of the picture, you'll be out of the race. It'll go to either another farmer who thinks they're going to farm like a corporation, or before long, an actual corporation.
Thanks, Churdun.
So, one last thing here. We're going to have to recognize that democracy is going to require a foundation of food sovereignty. Sovereignty, that foundation, and we can make it the foundation of our foreign policy too. And instead of having politicians get up and talk about how I'm going to create 12 million jobs without ever indicating how they're going to do it, we're going to have one of our leaders get up and say, I'm going to help create 12 million new sustainable farms.
Good stuff, George.
Yeah, and okay, one last thing. Instead of quibbling about whether food stamp recipients deserve or are worthy of getting food stamps, we're all going to get food stamps. And those food stamps, we'll be able to turn them in and get a discount on our food